Raul holds a PhD in mining engineering and mineral processing in applied geophysics, and MSc in water resource management, hydrology. Research expertise in near-surface geophysics, hydrology, and geochemistry applied to characterization of mine water and mine waste. His research includes multi-source data fusion with focus on secondary mineral resources and sustainable management of mine water, mine waste, and post-closure mining environments. Thank you, Raul, for being here with us. Thank you so much for the presentation. And as always, I would ask our audience to join us at menti.com with our code 7498-5614. And please answer the question, where does the solution presented in Pilot 4 will impact the most? So we have, as in the previous ones, 4 areas. So environment, operations, efficiency, and governance. And once we're going to receive your answers, I will ask Raul to comment on them and share some insights. As I can see, most of the answers are already in. Raul, could you please comment on them? As we can see, the most of the impact is in environment section based on the answers from our audience, and the rest of them are also in the middle, just in the middle at 3. This is a scale from 1 to 5, so it's right in the middle for the operations, efficiency, and governance. Do you agree with those answers? And if yes, you can tell us why. Do you think it's that area would be impacted the most? And if not, also please let us know.
Yes, I think it's expected, those results of the poll in terms of the environment. Yes, that's the main purpose why we're deploying this application. And that will reduce mainly the uncertainties in the management of these facilities, and will reduce the risks, which at the end impact the environment and also society. But also that middle ranking, let's say, in the poll about the operations and the efficiency, it makes sense because the companies at the moment, they expend a lot of resources in terms of monitoring, and which at the moment is being localized. They just take discrete points, and with this technology, we can extend the coverage of the monitoring. And it's non-invasive, and the efficiency, of course, because we can cover more areas. It can cover the depths of these embankments and deploy less resources. In terms of governance, the data, it's important. We have here to remind us that the company is interested on performance of these facilities, but also there are other stakeholders like regulators or government or the scientific community also that can access to this data at certain levels.
Thank you so much for elaborating. Let's move on to the next slide. So with the other Mentimeter questions. So what do you think? The question is for our audience, of course. Which of these areas are the most at risk while implementing the Pilot 4 solution? Where we can find potential risks? What is the most important risk, I would say? Where we can see the obstacles, and in no time, I will ask also you, Raul, to comment on the answers from our audience. As we can see, number 1 and number 2 at this moment are compliance with legislation and environment. So regarding compliance with legislation, Raul, what do you think? Is there a potential risk?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, in a way, there are risks in terms of the data handling, but I think the digitalization of this type of data kind of democratizes the access to it, and in a sense, of course, we have this data workflow policy where several layers of accessibility that can provide access, for example, to regulators in terms of this compliance and legislation, it will improve. rather than being a risk, I think is a strength of democratizing the data. In terms of environment, I don't think there's a risk in the sense that the deployment of sensors, they can be installed in a concealed way that it won't make any disruption or make disruptions with the existing ecosystems in closet tailings, let's say. And also, the other thing is non-invasive. It's just sensors putting on the ground and without making any drill hole or disturbance in the subsurface of these structures. Operations and finance, perhaps in terms of the initial investment, but we're talking here about an industry that deploys large resources in the management of these sites. Governance, yes, that could be some sensitive issues in terms of what type of data you can access. But again, I say the data workflow policies that we are thinking about this project will set the basis to provide, let's say, access to different types of stakeholders and to the same company.
So if you have to decide yourself which would be the number one risk in your pilot, which one of those would be?
I would say initial risk, probably we have to think more about the governance of the data. In terms of the technology itself, it could be the finance, because there will be an initial capex that is high if we want to cover large areas. We're talking here about tailings facilities that can be in the range of kilometers square, and the deployment of sensors to make a high resolution mapping of the subsurface. The investment at the beginning could be high, but then the return it's favorable if we think about longer terms of monitoring periods, like tens of years or hundreds of years.
Thank you so much, Raul, for your presentation and for elaborating further on the answers from our stakeholders.